Well, good morning, beautiful souls. Well, it's morning where I'm at. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you're at, and whenever you're listening to this. This message today is a little more lighthearted, and it's more a message from my heart, not so much a channeling. And this has to do with sharing kind of my vision of what I see, what I choose to see in the world. And I feel it's important to share this because it's important for people to understand the power of your mindset. And when I went through let me preface it by saying before my spiritual awakening, I was very much kind of a prisoner in this world, buying into the fear-mongering, from all sides, and was just living as if this was it, and I had to just struggle to survive. It was constantly living in like a survival mode, mentally, physically, emotionally, and for the most part was pretty disconnected from my soul. Everything that I believed was what someone else was telling me to believe. I did have that inner thirst for truth. That never went away, which is what ultimately led to my awakening. But at that point, kind of, a lot of my core beliefs weren't my own. And because they weren't my own, my thoughts were often confused. And there was a lot of disharmony within my mind and my heart, because there was something intuitively within me that was saying what you're thinking and believing is not in alignment with who we are, meaning myself, who we are, my soul, my being. And after my awakening, I started to see things very differently. When I started to go within and really decide for myself what it was that I truly believed to be truth. And this wasn't, a lot of religious people who are very beholden to their religious texts will, say, oh, this is the devil, this is evil, this is, as a human, you don't get to make up the rules and all that. And that's not what this is. This wasn't my brain coming up with ideas. This was me going within and connecting on a deeper soul level. And when I went through my awakening, what it was is it was like the light switch was turned on to source, to God, to the divine. And the revelations I was receiving, there was this deep inner knowing that these revelations were truth, universal truth, that I could trust, that I could embrace, because they aligned for me. In other words, these were basic universal truths that I knew I could apply in my life and in this world. And they're the same basic universal truths that run through the majority of mainstream religions and ideologies, because they're universal truths. And many of the religions end up veering off those universal truths and start going into doctrines and trying to create more control as to how those universal truths should be lived out in the human life. But on my journey to truth, it really just was a back to basics. And when I went through that transformative process in my soul, it really changed my thought process. And then I started to look at the world around me very differently. I started to see that I had a purpose here, and my purpose wasn't just to exist and to just have a family and work and make money and do things. It was bigger than that. I am a cog in the machine, but it's a very important piece of the machinery. If you've ever seen the inside of a clock and all the wheels and parts that make the clock move, every single one of those parts is important no matter how big or small they are. And so I realized I had this bigger purpose. And it wasn't about me. It wasn't about, oh, I want to get famous or I want to get rich. It was this deep inner knowing that I have something to contribute to this world that's going to help future generations. And so my mindset began to change. And I started looking at people differently. I looked at myself differently. I looked at the world differently. I was seeing things from a more, definitely from a higher perspective, like what God would be seeing it as. I was seeing it from almost like an out-of-body experience where you're being pulled away from the world and seeing it from a neutral perspective. And all of this was super important on this transformative journey because I realized that what I really desire in my heart is to help people heal. I want to help people change the way they think. I want to help people become more authentic. I want to see them heal from their past neglect and trauma and abuse and whatever it is they went through. And some people have had it harder than others. But it doesn't matter because it's not a competition to, of martyrdom to see who's had it worse. We have all suffered in some sense because we have had generation after generation of traumas and woundings that have just passed on from parent to child, parent to child, parent to child. And it's evident in the breakdown of the family system. Some people on the extreme right want to cling on to old family values and people on the left want to be progressive, but it's not about right and left, tradition and progressiveness. It's about going back to the basics and to the root of what is the point of a family. What is the point of a mother and father? What is the point of having a child? What are we supposed to do when we become an adult? How do we become a healthy adult? How do we have healthy relationships? How do we have a healthy relationship with ourselves? How do we have healthy communication? These are all bigger things that the world is struggling with. When you look at all the war and the anger, it's this huge fight with ego. And the answer is so simple, but it's not easy. Because what I see is this big challenge of getting people to be okay with admitting that they need to work on themselves internally, and then taking that shame away, taking that guilt away, so that they can stop judging themselves, and so that other people will stop judging, so that the healing can begin. When I reflect on everything I've been through in my entire life, but also over the last 7 years specifically, I want everyone else to experience this because it's been so transformative for me that I have this burning desire within me to help others achieve the same level of peace that I've been able to achieve through the healing process. Now, no two people are alike. Everyone has been through different life circumstances. Again, this is why we should never judge, why we should never compare. Just because one person has been through more horrific things than another doesn't mean the other person's journey has been less painful or less difficult. What I envision for our planet is balance. I envision a planet full of people who look in the mirror and they love themselves. And it's not about the physical looks. It's that they recognize that they are a divine being, perfect and whole, regardless of what their physical body and their outer circumstances are. I envision a world where people are self-aware and they keep their thoughts in check, which in turn makes their actions more meaningful, more purposeful. And they're respecting themselves with their choices. They're respecting other people's boundaries, not because they have to, but because they have that compassion and empathy. I envision a world where people help each other. Not because they're going to get likes or views, but because they know what it's like to be helped. They remember what it feels like when someone stops and helps them with something and shows them that care and that attention. I envision a world where greed falls away because people realize an abundant mindset is what breaks that feeling of greed. Greed comes from a lack mindset. Greed comes from people thinking there's limited resources. Now, if you look at the world simply from a physical perspective, it can appear that way. But we're not a physical existence. We are a mental existence. We are a divine existence. Manifesting. We have manifested this world we're in. But if we heal and grow, then we would naturally begin to manifest a different existence. An existence where people don't thrive on greed because they don't need to. And if people are not thriving on greed, they're being more careful with the resources on the planet. They're showing more care. They're taking better care of the resources. Not because you're a hippie or you're a tree hugger or you're a leftist, which I am a tree hugger, but I'm just saying. Not because it's a political ideation, but because you understand what the earth is to us. It's Mother Gaia. She provides and nurtures us, and all she asks in return is that we respect her. And even God, in the Christian perspective, would say the same thing. That we should be respecting the resources that He's provided for us. I see a world where there's balance. Where when we make a mistake, we don't belittle each other. We shake it off and say, oops, I messed up. I'm going to try better next time. Or when someone gets hurt, we don't laugh and ridicule them. We have empathy because we understand what that feels like, and we're there to support them and lift them up. I see a world where people's mindsets are changing. And as that's happening, their hearts are opening up. And when that happens, the love of the divine, the love of God, is able to flow. That light shines bright. I feel like I want to cry right now. That light shines so bright, and it's not an outer light coming in, it's an inner light coming out. Like a lighthouse. It's like a domino effect. And as each person wakes up and heals and steps into their authenticity and starts to have a healthier mindset and healthier behaviors and takes healthier actions for themselves and their families, you begin to see healing all around. They're healing their friendships, their relationships, their families. Imagine that on a global scale. That's what I picture. And I know it's real, and I know not only is it possible, I know it's happening, and I know that in the end, but I don't want to say in the end, but what I see in my mind's eye is an earth that's thriving with healed people and a healed planet. And it's, equivalent to what you would read in the Bible as the Garden of Eden, right? There's some religions that say that will be here on earth. Some people will say that's the new earth. Whatever label you want to pop on there doesn't matter to me. It's just what I envision because I can already see it happening. And it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time. Just in my own personal journey has been 7 years to get to this point of doing a 180. but I do see it happening, and that's my vision, and that's my passion, and that's my drive. And I let the divine guide my steps every step of the way, so that I know that when I leave this earth, when my physical body leaves this earth and my soul passes on to the spiritual realm, I've left this planet better than when I arrived. I've contributed. I've helped in the way that I was meant to help. And that brings my heart so much joy. So I am at work, so I need to cut this short, but I just wanted to share with you guys this vision I have and this passion that I have within me. And I hope it inspires you to go within and really take a deep look at your own life and decide for yourself what it is you're here for. I promise you, you're not here to just work and make money. That is part of the physical existence, but that's not the only part of it. That's the physical aspect. But you have a spiritual purpose for being here, and that's going to be different for everybody. Not everyone is going to be on the same path as me. It could be through the art that you do. It could be through the work that you do. For example, as a caregiver, I was helping people, and that is a job that I get paid for, but it's helping people. The same thing with HR. It may seem kind of silly, but you're helping to create a family environment for your coworkers so they can enjoy their job, so they can actually be productive and enjoy spending 8 hours of their day at a place of work. So everything has a purpose. And when you're in that purpose, it makes your life feel more fulfilled, and it gives you more peace for the journey. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, I love you all so very much, and I really hope this message has touched you and that it inspires you, and that you go out into the world and be your authentic self and do you, boo. Okay? I love you all. Have a great day. Namaste.